Guys, today bringing to you a video of how to redo an alternator on a 2000 Chevy 1500 Silverado. Video. We are actually installing an awesome Mechman 370 Elite series. Really nice product. It's going to be sweet. Currently running a factory one out of a Duramax or something like that. It's like a 175 amp. I'm running two AGMs right there and there. Currently system has like 2000 watt amp and seeing some power draws. So it's time to upgrade. So basically first thing I've done is disconnect your intake hose, undo your power, undo your plug here, which is this 4 plug right here, this little guy. Undo your serpentine belt from your tensioner, just let it hang there. Make sure when you put it back on, you refer to your wiring diagram, or your belt pathway, I guess you can say. And then go from there. The next thing you're going to do is take these two 15s out, and then pick up from there. One thing to keep in mind is when you're undoing this, there's these little guys right there. I don't know if you can see that very well, but there's these little doodads in here. Be careful of those. Don't bend them out, because that's what keeps your alternator nice and tight. When you're taking it out, I always just use one of these guys and come up underneath and just pry up on it a little bit on each side until it comes free, and then you can take it out. So this guy just set right in there. I didn't have to adjust these pieces at all. It just fit right in there perfect. With this Mechman 370, you're gonna have to, this is a 2000 Chevy Silverado 1500, so it'll come with this adapter piece. This piece will plug onto the stock part. This one will go into the new alternator. This blue wire you have to run to a 12 volt ignition source, and I'm going to run mine straight off of this one, which is the number 10 spot. So if you go look at that on your reference guide, your diagram, it's going to be the ignition. So when you're turning the key, that will turn on. And to do that, I'm going to use stand by while I remember where I put everything. One of these, which is a fuse tap basically. So you plug in this spot to that 10 amp spot right there, and then you're going to plug in that fuse right to there and attach that blue wire that goes to the turn on basically for the alternator, which will be this wire. So you'll just run it from over here, find a nice way to make it look pretty, come through here and then tuck it up to the box or put a hole in it or whatever you want to do, and go from there. It's just going to tap in here, and then that 10 will plug right into it, so you don't have to go through the firewall or anything else, and it should be good as new. So disclaimer, I am not a professional, and you should always disconnect your batteries from when you're doing this stuff. Currently I am just going to disconnect this negative so that I can then hook it up to the negative that goes up here, which is going to be this guy. Goes up there, and you have to run a negative from here from Mechman. They give you a nice little spot there, which is awesome, from there to the battery to ensure you get maximum charging power out of it. I also have the stock ground that goes from the chassis to this frame here, and then from the frame to the battery, but I'm going to keep this one there right where it's at, and then run this one as well. And then I have this power which is live, so you just got to leave it there. It'll go to that post right here, and then I have the factory live for everything else that goes there, and that'll just slide right over that guy, and then I'll be able to still run everything like it should, and it should run great. We'll go from there. Okay, guys, so I had to do some modification. So this stock power wire that goes to basically the signal wire that would cause your battery light to come on from your alternator not charging, that goes from here to there, was too small. So I'm going to use this guy, which is actually a little bit bigger than this factory wire. You can just take it off. I cut it and then realized that this whole bracket piece comes off after you take off this nut, which is a 17 millimeter, and basically I just wedged that wire back in there, and this door should still close just like it should. So this will go up to my positive from my battery, and it'll be good to go. So it looks nice and neat, and it'll be clean when it's done. And just a little hiccup that if you hit that road or that crossing the road, you're ready for it. So that in doing this, I didn't really find any videos that were really in depth about it. It was just like, here's this, here's this, here's this, and you're done. But I'm just doing the nitty gritties of it so that you can kind of be prepared for what you're going to be doing. Not all trucks are the same, but this is, again, a 2000 Chevy Silverado. And you have your little 4-pin right there, which is only one little guy in there. It's going to plug into the harness right here. And then I'll keep recording from there, and we'll continue on when I hit the next spot. Small update for you guys. So I currently have the negative. I ran out of 1/0 black, but they recommend, I think, 1/0, which is the size of that ring terminal. I don't know if you can see it on there, but it says so. But it's 1/0 sky high audio, car audio, wire, OFC, no CCA. Get out of here with that garbage. All OFC. I use these black heat shrinks from them that are super nice, just to kind of designate them being at ground instead of a power, basically. Still got to undo this guy to hook this one up to it. Before that, I got my live wire, my ecite wire from my alternator. Kind of ran down right next to the fuse, up and around, and then I just drilled a small little hole through the fuse box. I'm going to put some glue on that to kind of seal that up, just because I didn't want any wires coming over this and getting smashed or letting water in to the fuse box. And then you can see how that little guy sits there, and then I haven't put the fuse in yet, but the fuse will sit right in there, and then it'll turn on, per se, the alternator and go from there. To crimp everything, I'm using a hydraulic crimper. I think I got this on Amazon. They make nicer ones that are like a die set, so it smashes down in the center instead of smushing the sides. I've used this on all of my truck. Most of my truck has double lot OFC, but it smashes it down nice. But I have all double lot for everything, basically, from here to the back to the amp. Even if it's only a 2000 watt setup, I try to overkill everything possible on the truck. But yeah, there's a small update. We'll go from there. Another thing they recommend is, so you have your ground here and then you have your power. They recommend you run a 400 amp fuse in between here, between the battery and the alternator. Right now I have a 250 here, a 250 there, and one in the back by the amp. So it's all fused up there. I'm gonna get another one on the way for that spot, just because that's what they recommend. Of course, the instructions fell on the floor, but if you look at the instructions per Mechman, 250 amp to 400, which is 370, classifies under this one. So it's a 1/0 gauge copper or 2/0 CCA. I have all double aught OFC in it, so I'm good in that category to charge. And then I just need a 400 amp fuse, basically from the alternator to the battery. So right now I have all my grounds, basically the big 5 instead of the big 3, because I have a ground, power, but I have legit 3 grounds. I have the stock, the one from the alternator, the one to the chassis, and then from the chassis to the block, and from the top of the alternator to here. And then that battery is also grounded twice as well. I didn't mean to flip the camera. But anyways, it's grounded twice over there, grounded in the back, all with double aught OFC. So there's a mid spot. That's just something to add that you do need to do. I currently don't have a fuse to put in there, but it will be done. So just remember, danger, high voltage. Shit's serious. Fuses are needed. Don't burn your car down. Always carry a fire extinguisher, no matter what the circumstances are. Always take that extra precaution to do it. Anyways, enough talking. I'll get back to it, and then I'll give you an update. Guys, so far, so this is all, the belt's all tensioned up like it should be. One thing to mark when you're doing it is the green is the fully released, and that's the fully tightened position. I made a mark when it was on originally, and it was actually a little bit too tight on it. So right now, with the Mechman on it the way it is, it actually fits pretty much perfect. This is a 5.3 V8 Vortec out of the 2000. And see if I have, this is the NAPA number that I used when I originally swapped the belt. This is the old one that I took off, but this is the one that's in there now from them. And don't mind the airplane, but it seems to be pretty much perfect. Maybe it could be a teeny bit shorter, but I'm gonna run it, and if I have any issues, I will replace it. But you can see the belt has a little bit of wear on it because I think it was running a little bit too tight, and even the tension has some wear on it. But other than that, everything's all wired up like it should be. Again, I'm gonna put a fuse here just to protect everything else from the alternator. It shouldn't have any issues, but worst case scenario, it'll be protected. So now you just need to put your air box back on, and then the next one, probably gonna have her run in and see what she does. Guys, final update. Truck's on, alternator's in, running smooth, tension like it should be, everything's tightened down, nothing's smoking, everything's charging like it should. Our voltage is looking great. We're sitting at about 4.9, 4.6. It kind of bounces up and down between those two, so I can't see very well on this. There you go. Put it sitting about there. So everything's good so far. I'm gonna drive it and see how she does, and if anything changes, I'll update this video. Thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed the video, if it helped you in some way, just subscribe, like, you know, hit the bell, do all that fun stuff, and go from there. Maybe keep doing these crazy videos. It's just here's and there's, and messing around with my truck and seeing what I can do to make it better and improve the power system on it, and go from there. Now those AGMs should be nice and charged and do everything that they should be doing. I was probably underpowering them before, but now I should have plenty of power, and she seems to be running smooth. So thanks for watching, guys. Have a great day. One more thing, after I got everything hooked up, everything works fine, everything works great, but my battery light stays on. So I'm gonna message Mechman about it and see what I can do. The pigtail plug that they sent with it has 4 pins in it, basically. The stock one only has the center one, which is the load sensor, basically, or the load for the alternator to charge. So I'm gonna see if there's something else you can do, or something else you need to do to hook up so that the battery light stays off. But the ecite wire's hooked up as well, and that plugs into the yellow one, as you can see in the video. But other than that, everything works great. The system sounds great. The amp's super happy because it has all the power it needs. Next thing I need to do is add another like excess power battery or something like that in the back to help with basically reserve power for the amp, so it can draw from it and be super happy then. Other than that, everything's gravy, everything's good to go. Super happy with the system, and again, I'm not a professional, but did pretty good.